The Type 63 Multiple Launch Rocket System, MLRS for short, is one of the most successful Chinese weapon systems created in modern times. It successfully combines the features of cost efficiency, simplicity, and high mobility. Today, we are investigating the Type 63 and its many copies and derivatives. The Type 63 has a special place. As many semi-rightful claims, the defense industry of China is famous for copied products. But in contrary, this MLRS is the most copied Chinese weapon system. Some viewers may say that the Type 63 is a copy of the other towed MLRS. We will return to this topic later. But first, let's briefly look at the history, features, and variants of the Type 63. Even though the early examples of the MLRS had been used in medieval China, going back to these times would of course be an exaggeration. The modern history of the Chinese artillery rocket development efforts began in 1948. The fruits of these works were the 102mm sextuple barrel towed Type 427 and Type 488. The People's Liberation Army, or shortly the PLA, used them in the Korean War. However, the production capacity of China was still low. The backbone of the rocket artillery of the PLA still depended on the Soviet-made MLRS. To keep the equipment standardization, China ceased the Type 427 and Type 488 production after a relatively small number of them were taken into service. But the Soviet artillery systems had generally been designed for a large-scale mechanized war. On the other hand, guerrilla warfare was an essential part of the doctrines of the PLA and the Chinese communist ideology. So, China decided to develop the successor of the Type 427 and Type 488. The development works began in 1961. The serial production of the new towed MLRS, called Type 63, commenced in 1963. Initially, all Chinese infantry divisions had 18, and regiments had 6 Type 63s. Today, only the airborne, mountain infantry, and special forces units of the PLA use this MLRS. The Type 63 is an easy to produce and low-cost MLRS. Thanks to its simple design, it requires little training to operate and maintain, which makes the system perfect for guerrilla forces and the armies of the third world countries. The Type 63 can be towed by a 4x4 tactical vehicle. The launcher has 3 banks of 4 107mm barrels. It's mounted on a rubber-tired split pole-type carriage. Before the firing, the wheels are raised from the ground or dismantled. Then, the launcher is stabilized by the 2 trails with spades at the rear and 2 short legs in the front of the carriage. The firing is performed via an electric remote control. The Type 63 has a single shoot or salvo modes. A full salvo of 12 rockets takes 7 to 9 seconds. The Chinese-made 107mm rockets have 2 types of high-explosive warhead variants. The first one, with an 8,500 meters range, produces over 1,200 fragments with a lethal radius of 18.5 meters. The second can reach a distance of 10,000 meters, but the radius of the kill zone is 12.5 meters. There are also 2 types of 107mm high-explosive incendiary rockets. The first one has a range of 8,000 meters and burns the hitting area for 40 seconds. The other has 1,600 incendiary pellets. Its burning radius is 21 meters. The range of this rocket is 8,500 meters. The rocket with a high explosive fragmentation warhead carries 1,600 6.35mm steel spheres. Its range is 7,800 meters. China also developed a 107mm jamming rocket with 7,800 meters range. It carries a parachute-deployed jammer unit which stays in the air for up to 15 minutes. These unguided rockets are spin-stabilized, but their accuracy is low, especially at the maximum range. The reloading time of the Type 63 is 3 minutes. The crew of the Type 63 is 5 people. The MLRS is 2.6 meters long, 1.4 meters wide, and 1.2 meters high in the traveling position. The combat weight of the Type 63 is 613 kilograms. The elevation of the launcher is between 0 and plus 60 degrees. The barrel can be traversed at 15 degrees on both sides. China developed a lighter version of the MLRS, whose Western designation is Type 63-1, which is distinguishable by its smaller spoked road wheels and its 4 banks of 3 rockets. It weighs 477 kilograms. The pack model of the Type 63 was developed for use by airborne and mountain units. It weighs 281 kilograms in the firing position and can be dismantled into man-pack loads. A single man-portable tripod-mounted variant is called Type 85, which is designed for use by guerrilla or special forces units. It has a length of 0.9 meters and a weight of 22.5 kilograms. The Type 85 can be disassembled into small loads for carriage. The launcher can be ready for action in 30 seconds. The Type 81 is the truck-mounted variant of the Type 63. The launcher is mounted onto the Nanjing NJ221. The Type 81 carries 12 reloads. China also developed another truck-mounted variant of the MLRS, which was seen for the first time in 2006. It can be dropped by a parachute and can carry 45 reloads. China also mounted a 107mm octuple launcher onto the 6x4 all-terrain vehicle for airborne units use. Due to the recoil effect, the rockets can only be launched while the launcher is turned to the left. The Type 63 has been mounted onto different vehicles, such as the 4x4 Cougar MRAP, MTLB, and M113 tracked armored vehicles, and the GAZ-66 and UAZ-469 trucks by foreign users. But undoubtedly, the most known one is the Toyota Land Cruiser. Also, North Korea produces the Type 63 under license. In addition to the towed version, the 24 tube variants of the MLRS were mounted onto the Sunni 58 KA-1 trucks and the M1992 wheeled armored vehicles. Besides, there is a model with VTT-323 trucked armored vehicle with an 18-tube launcher. The Iranian licensed production variant of the Type 63 is the Haseb. This country also developed a reverse-engineered variant of the MLRS called fadjr, which has a different carriage. These launchers have been mounted onto the Baroque trucked armored vehicle and the Toyota Land Cruiser, Safir, Kaviran, and KM410 4x4 tactical vehicles. Also, the Iranian army uses a variant based on the Beni Hashem ATV-50 all-terrain vehicle. This version has a twin-barrel launcher. The fadjr is also mounted on many small attack craft of the Iranian Navy. The Sudanese Taka is the licensed production variant of the fadjr. Sudan also mounted these launchers onto the 4x4 KM450 trucks. Another country which cloned the Type 63 is South Africa. This reverse-engineered variant is called RO-107 and can also launch Meccan-made 107mm rockets which feature better accuracy. South Africa also developed the Mamba and RG-32 Scout-mounted variants of the RO-107 for trial purposes. The AB-19 is the Jordanian variant of the Type 63. This launcher is mounted onto the HMMWV and Desert Iris 4x4 vehicles for use of the Special Forces units. Contrary to the popular opinion, the Turkish T-107 Anadolu is not a direct copy of the Type 63. In the 1990s, the Turkish Coast Guard boats stopped an Iranian freighter passing through the Bosphorus, and after the investigation, the weapons within the ship were confiscated. The Turkish army comprehensively tested one of these weapons, the fadjr, and quickly realized that it would offer many advantages for the war against terrorism in the mountainous southeast region of the country. The T-107 is an improved version of the Iranian fadjr, not the Type 63. Roketsan used rocket engines and fuel technology of the FIM-92 Stinger manpads to develop a 107mm rocket with extended range and flight characteristics. The TR-107 can reach a distance of 11,000 meters. The launcher is also supported by a portable fire control computer. Thus, the T-107 also has high accuracy. In addition to the towed variant, the MLRS is mounted on the Boran of BMC and Cobra of Taka. Besides, the Jobaria modular MLRS of the United Arab Emirates can fire these rockets. The Boran is the Azerbaijani variant of the T-107. The clones of the Type 63 were also produced in Egypt, Iraq, and Vietnam. Even though they are not the copied versions of the Type 63, Serbia also produces the 107mm rockets. The Serbian LRS-VM Morava and the United Arab Emirates Namr-based MLRS use them. Since the Type 63 and its derivatives are easily modified, there are also many other improvised variants. Even though neither Warsaw Pact nor NATO countries were interested in such towed MLRS with short range, the Type 63 was one of the essential weapon systems of the First Cold War. The North Vietnamese forces successfully used the Pac variant of the MLRS during the hit and run attacks against the US and South Vietnamese bases during the Vietnam War. Also, its towed variant served well in more conventional engagements. But the Type 63 did not only hit the Western armies hard. During the Sino-Vietnamese conflicts, both sides used the Type 63 against each other. During the invasion of Afghanistan, the Mujahideen also used the same tactics as the North Vietnamese against the Soviet forces. The Type 63 proved its destructive power countless times. Then, the whistle of the 107mm rockets also became a nightmare for the Soviet troops with their psychological effect, even if they missed their targets. Since the 1990s, many terrorist and guerrilla groups and irregular forces have used the 107mm rockets countless times. We may say that the Type 63 is the AK-47 of the MLRS. Especially in the Middle East, all Shia organizations have the Iranian production variants of the Type 63, which make them one of the most crucial weapon systems in the clashes in Iraq, Israel, and Syria. They are one of the reasons for the development of the Iron Dome. Thanks to its high accuracy, especially in direct fire missions, an easy deployment feature to mountainous areas, the Turkish army has successfully used the T-107s in its war against terrorism. The Turkish-made 107mm rockets have served as the extended-range RPGs. Some sources claim that the Type 63 was based on the previous Type 58, the reverse-engineered copy of the US M16. Also, some others assert that the new Chinese MLRS was developed based on the Soviet 140mm RPU-14. Initially, Western sources thought that the Type 63 was based on an unknown Soviet MLRS and called it BM-12. But after the West found a chance to examine the Type 63 in various places, it determined that this MLRS had no direct relationship with Soviet armaments. China had already proved that it had the technical capability to develop such systems with the Type 427 and Type 488. We may say that the Type 63 is one of the most successful Chinese weapon systems. Also, it is not a copy, but the most copied indigenous one. After 60 years, the MLRS keeps adding new pages to its saga, which makes the Type 63 a true legend. Thanks for watching our video, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all of your likes, comments, and shares.